Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, March 12th. Happy Friday. Hopefully by now everyone has answered their bell ringer. So let's take a look. So in our scenario here, our question is basically to drill or not to drill. That's the question. So a group of scientists that are employed by an oil company studied the feasibility of drilling for oil on the coast of California. They researched the impact of oil drilling on nearby ecosystems and investigated the likelihood of future oil spills. Based off of that, this area in California would be an excellent location to drill for oil. Based on historical data, there is a very small chance of future oil spills. So the question then says, based on the passage, or according to the passage, scientists concluded coastal California would be an excellent location to drill for oil. And why is this, or what is this based upon? So this was one of those reading interpretations. So you should have been able to read the paragraph here and then choose the best possible response. So let's see what you guys came up with. Looks like most of you chose D, historical data revealing little or no chance of an oil spill, and that is correct. So good job on that one. So a couple of things to go over today. I did post an agenda here, just kind of showing you what we're gonna be going through. So we've done our bell ringer. The next thing I'm gonna do is show you a couple of ACAP videos about how to navigate the website. So remember, next week, virtual students are going to be testing. So just in the chat, post to me if for those of you who are going to be on campus testing next week. I just want to see how many of my virtual students are going to be here. So just post in the chat, let me know if you're going to be here or not. So some of you are going to be coming back to school in person. All right, I see that. Okay. And then it looks like a lot of you are posting that you will be here for testing. Okay, good. So in order for us to be prepared for the ACAP, I'm going to go through a couple of the videos. I'm not going to do every single one, but I do want to touch on the ones that covers how to navigate the tabs on the science menu, because you may be asked to do calculations and you need to make sure that you know how to use the calculator and how to move through that. At the end of class, there is also a practice test that you need to go through. There are only 7 or 8 questions on the practice test, okay? So before you start that, I want you guys to listen up to a couple of these videos that'll just kind of help prepare you for your test next week. So give me just a minute to transition here and I'm going to share those with you. Okay, so we are going to go through a couple of these little reviews of how to use the test. Give me just a minute to make sure my sharing is so that you guys can see. Okay. And here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this now. And once I start playing it, please post in the chat and let me know that you guys can in fact hear this.
Welcome to the ACAP Summative online tutorial. This tutorial will tell you all about the tools and features of the online assessment before you take the actual test. We'll start by showing you the tools you can use while you are taking the test. Later, you'll have a chance to use these tools in an online tools training on a computer. You can watch this video or any of the chapters as many times as you'd like. The online tools training program will give you a chance to practice using the tools with sample questions before your testing day. It doesn't matter if you choose the correct answer, just be sure to try out all the tools and follow any on-screen practice hints. You can sign into and take any online tools training or OTT session as many times as you need. There are two ways to access the online tools training, also called the OTT. The online tools training is a chance to practice using the tools of the online test before you take the actual test. If you are practicing at home or you are practicing at school and the testing software isn't installed yet, you can access using a website address that will be provided by your school. Make sure you enter this address into a Chrome web browser. The web address is If you are practicing at school and the testing software has already been installed on your device, launch the Insight app by clicking the Insight icon. Once the app opens to the home screen, look for the ACAP summative logo and click on Online Tools Training. Your teacher will let you know which grade and subject to choose. Once you've clicked on your choice, the Sign In screen appears. The OTT username and password are shown on the sign-in screen just above the white sign-in boxes. Type in the username and password as they are shown. They are not case sensitive, so you can use capital or lowercase letters. If you need help entering the information, you can ask an adult for help or raise your hand to ask a teacher. After you've clicked the Sign In button, you'll come to the Welcome screen, which confirms which OTT you have chosen. Click the Continue button to start the OTT. When you take the actual test, this screen will have your information on it. For this training tool, you can just click the green button that says Continue. Next, select the link of the OTT you will be taking. On the following screen, you will see test directions. Be sure to read the directions carefully. The directions will tell you about the tools you will practice using in the OTT. After you have read all of the directions, click the green Begin the Test button to view the first OTT question. The online tools training will give you a chance to practice using the tools with sample questions before your testing day. It doesn't matter if you choose the correct answer. Just be sure to try out all the tools and follow any on-screen practice hints. If you have any questions, you can always ask an adult for help. You can sign into and take any OTT as many times as you'd like. On the day of testing, your teacher will begin by reading the test directions to you. It is very important for you to listen to the directions carefully, even if you've heard the directions read before. You should not log into the test until your teacher tells you to do so. Your teacher will give you a student test ticket. Here's what your test ticket will look like. It will include your name, username, and password. It will also include the name of the test you are taking, your test session, and your birth date. Check to make sure your name and birth date are correct on your ticket. If something isn't right, raise your hand and wait for a teacher to help you. Your teacher will now ask you to log into the test. Begin by launching the DRC Insight app on your testing device by clicking or selecting the Insight icon. Once Insight opens to the home screen, find the ACAP summative logo and click on Student Sign-In under the logo. This will take you to the sign-in screen for your test. Type in your username and password as they are shown on your student test ticket. Usernames and passwords are not case sensitive, so you can use capital or lowercase letters. If you need help entering this information, raise your hand and wait for an adult to help you. Once you have entered your username and password, click the Sign In button. On the welcome screen, you should see your name, the name of the test session, and your birth date. Check to make sure this information is correct and matches the information on your test ticket. If any of this information is incorrect, raise your hand and let your teacher know. If everything is correct, click on the green Continue button. Place your test ticket next to your computer. Your teacher will collect it from you after you've finished your test. Next, click on the link for the test session you will be taking. Each test has more than one session. All test sessions that have not been completed will be blue and underlined. The test sessions you have already taken will be grayed out and say complete. You will see test directions on your screen. Please do not go ahead. Your teacher will go over the test directions with the class to review test navigation and available online testing tools. Be sure to listen and follow all directions carefully. After your teacher has finished reading all of the directions, it is time to begin testing. When your teacher tells you to do so, click or select the green Begin the Test button. This will take you to the first test question. Do not click the green Begin the Test button until your teacher tells you to do so. If you accidentally click the green Begin the Test button before your teacher instructs you to do so, simply click the blue Pause button and wait until your teacher instructs you to begin the test. Do not click the Review End Test button. You will not be able to log back into the test to answer questions if you click on the Review End Test button. Once you're in the test, if you need to look at the directions again, you can click on the Help button. It's a blue square with a question mark in it at the top right of the screen. After you've clicked on the green Begin the Test button at the end of the test directions, you'll be in the test and your screen will look something like this. Let's talk about the tools you can use to help you answer questions. All of the tools in this chapter are available on all tests. There are some tools that are only for certain tests. Check out other chapters for more information on those tools. Click or tap on the button of the tool you want to use. You'll notice the cursor on the screen changes, depending on what you've chosen. You can use more than one tool at a time. To close a tool, just click on the tool again or choose a different tool. To choose your answer to a question, use the pointer. The pointer is already on when you go to the next question. You can tell the pointer is clicked because your cursor will look like a pencil on the screen. If you think any of the answer choices are not correct, you can use the cross-off tool to make a red mark over that choice. Clicking the cross-off tool makes your cursor look like a pencil with a red X on it. Click or tap on the incorrect answer while the cross-off tool is clicked. To remove a red mark over an answer choice, use the cross-off tool and click or tap on the answer choice again. Use the highlighter tool to highlight anything you think is important. You can highlight words and pictures. When the highlighter tool is clicked, your cursor will look like the tip of a yellow highlighter pen. Click or press on the first part of the text or picture you'd like to highlight, and without releasing your finger, drag across the information you want to highlight. Release your finger when you've reached the end. The only time you cannot use the highlighter is when you use the Click to Enlarge and Click to Respond graphics feature. All cross-offs and highlighting are saved, even when you go to a different question or pause or exit the test. The magnifier tool will make a part of the test screen larger. It will make it easier to see words or pictures on the screen. The magnifier has two choices. 1.5 makes everything on the screen bigger, or 2.0 to make it even larger. You'll need to click or tap and drag the screen to see the area of the screen you want to look at. There are also scroll bars on the edges you can use. The magnifier will also make other tools you might be using bigger, like a calculator or a protractor. To close the magnifier, click on the magnifying tool again and choose Off, or press the Escape key on your keyboard. You can use any of the other tools while you're using the magnifier. The line guide tool helps you track as you are reading. When you click on the line guide tool, a blue box with 3 blue bars shows in the top right corner of the question screen. Choose and drag the blue box or the line to track what you're reading. Remember that you can close any tool by choosing the Tools button again or choosing a different tool.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right there. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. I wanted to make sure that I went over with you guys as kind of how to navigate it. On the science portion of the test, you probably will have to use those toolbars, right? There may be things like the periodic table. You may have to do calculations. So you need to make sure that you know how to navigate the toolbars, not just for math, but also for science. So I'm going to minimize this now, and I'm going to go back into Schoology, and I'm going to pull up what we're going to do today. So for the rest of class today, I have a science practice ACAP test. When you click on it, a couple of things are going to show up. It gives you the instructions and the website to go to. It also tells you how to get there and the username and password that you are going to use to take this test. There's only about 8 or 9 questions, maybe a little bit, maybe 10. It's not a very long test. When you complete the test, I then want you to come back to this tab in Schoology and you'll see a Google Docs. It says ACAP practice test. When you click on that, what's going to open up are just 3 things I want you to do. The first step is after the test, you're going to find 3 questions that you found were very difficult and explain why. You can just give me the number and a brief description of what was in the question and tell me why you felt they were difficult. Number 2, give me an example of 3 questions you thought were relatively easy and explain why. And then number 3, I want you guys to tell me how you feel. So number 3 is just you giving me an idea on a scale of 1 to 4, how confident you feel about the science portion of the ACAP test you're going to take next week. All right. So let me pause right here. I'm going to change my sharing for just a minute, and then I'm going to come back to you guys. Okay, so I see a couple questions coming up. So some of the ACAPs, these are good questions. Somebody post in the chat, will it be on everything we've already learned? Some of the stuff on the ACAP may cover 8th grade content, but there also may be other things. So in 8th grade, yes, we've talked about atoms, and we've talked about chemistry, we've talked about physics. However, you might see some stuff from 7th grade. But the purpose of the ACAP is if you know how to interpret data and you know how to read graphs and you know how to evaluate models, regardless of the topic of the science, you should be able to perform well on the test. So you could see a variety of things. There could be topics that are about chemistry and there could be topics that are about ecosystems and life science that you learned in 7th grade. Does that kind of help answer your question? Okay, good. That was a great question. So it's kind of going to be across the board with science topics, all right? So after you've done this, so let me change my settings. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to my camera really quick just to talk to you guys for just a minute before I let you go. All right, so happy Friday, everyone. Okay, so the rest of class period today is you are going to work on your practice test and you're going to answer those 3 questions that are embedded in that Google Docs. Okay, that's your assignment. And that's how I know that you finished the test and you thought about it and you really took your time. So that's what I want you guys to do. Make sure that if you didn't take your test yesterday, you take care of that. I'm working on grading. It's going to take me a little bit. There were some questions that I want to go back and double check. So I might not have your test completely graded or the essays until next week, okay? But I'll get those updated as soon as I possibly can. Another person question. Next week is only virtual students, okay? So next week, somebody asked about 8th grade. So next week it'll be 8th grade virtual, 6th grade virtual, 7th grade virtual. You guys are just going to be spread out in different areas, okay? So 8th grade virtual will be next week, but so is 6th and 7th grade. So next week is designated as all virtual. Then the following week, right? The following week, let's see, the week of the 22nd through the 26th is on campus 8th grade testing. So I noticed one of you told me that you were going to be coming back to school next week. So you will be doing your testing the following week. All right. Somebody's asking about, do you have to be there? They want 100% participation. So you need to let your parents know that you really need to be here for virtual testing. So you should have already been contacted or talked to somebody in the office about that. Okay. All right. So if you guys don't have any more questions, you're good to go. Have a great day. Have a great weekend and make sure you do your practice test.